Tell me what motorcycle you ride, and I will tell you exactly who you are. Not what you think you are, not what your Instagram bio says, what you actually are, based on the machine sitting in your garage right now. Because every motorcycle is a costume. It tells the world what kind of rider you want to be, how much money you spent trying to prove it, and whether or not you actually ride the thing. You might think you picked your bike for the performance specs or the fuel economy, at least that's what we all tell ourselves. But we all bought an identity, and the rest of the motorcycle community already assigned us a stereotype the second we rolled out of the dealership. So let's go through every major motorcycle tribe, one by one, and find out what your bike is really saying behind your back. Harley-Davidson dealership in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is where it all starts for the biggest tribe in American motorcycling. The Motorcycle Industry Council puts the median age of a United States motorcycle owner at 50 years old, up from 32 in 1990. That aging demographic is basically the Harley-Davidson business model in a single statistic. But not all Harley riders are the same. The specific model you pick tells a whole different story. The Sportster is the entry-level Harley. It is the bike of the younger rider, the woman getting into the brand, or the guy whose wife said something smaller. The Harley community itself calls it the starter Harley. Everyone outside the Harley world calls it a Harley with training wheels. The weird part is that non-Harley riders will often admit the Sportster is the most genuinely fun motorcycle in the entire Harley lineup. Then you have the Fat Boy, solid wheels, a massive 240mm rear tire. This is the Terminator 2 motorcycle. Australian Motorcycle News found that during a head-to-head road test, the Fat Boy attracted far more attention from people on the street than the Road Glide Special, which makes sense because the stereotype on the Fat Boy is that it exists to be looked at, not to be leaned over. Actually cornering one requires, and I'm quoting the review here, a heap of heavy manhandling. So yeah, it's not built for twisties. It is built for parking in front of a bar and looking incredible doing it. The Road Glide and Street Glide are where bagger culture lives. These are the riders who actually log miles. They ride to Sturgis. They have saddlebags, an infotainment screen, and heated grips. The Street Glide is the most popular bagger in America, and the Ultra Limited is the final evolution, with every accessory Harley sells bolted on and a spouse on the back. The stereotype on these riders is weekend warrior, midlife crisis, more costume than commitment. South Park did a whole episode about it in 2009, and the motorcycle community has never stopped referencing it. But here is the part that gets left out of the joke. The serious Harley touring guys will quietly do 800-mile days without complaining, in heat, in rain, and in gear that weighs more than some sport bikes. They just don't post about it. Now here is where the stereotype takes a sharp turn into a hospital parking lot. Sport bikes. The Yamaha R1, the Kawasaki ZX-10R, the Suzuki GSX-R, and the Ducati Panigale. This is the tribe that emergency room nurses have a special name for, and that name is organ donors. The numbers back it up. A peer-reviewed study from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety found that supersport motorcycles had a rider death rate roughly 4 times higher than cruisers and standard bikes. The average age of a rider killed on a supersport was 27. These bikes made up less than 10% of registered motorcycles, but accounted for over a quarter of all rider deaths. The sport bike world splits into 2 very distinct sub-tribes. First, you have the track day rider. Full leathers, scuffed knee sliders, chicken strip free tires, and a trailer to haul the bike. This person respects the machine and rides at the limit in a controlled environment. Then you have the street squid. The backronym the community uses for squid is stupidly quick, underdressed, and imminently dead. Picture a brand new R1, a backwards baseball cap, basketball shorts, and flip-flops. That's the squid uniform. A longtime amateur racer put it best on a forum post. People who don't ride call all of us organ donors. We don't call each other that. We call someone who rides aggressively and dangerously a squid, which, looking back on that distinction, is either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. The Ducati Panigale rider is a separate subspecies entirely. A long-running thread on the Ducati forum captures it perfectly. The Panigale owner is either a rich guy with more money than riding skill, or a highly skilled rider who is mature and responsible. There is no in-between. This is where the story takes a turn nobody expected, because the next tribe doesn't ride fast. They ride far. Or at least, they bought a bike that could ride far. The adventure bike crowd. The BMW R 1300 GS, the KTM 1290 Super Adventure, the Honda Africa Twin. These are the bikes that could cross the Sahara Desert but usually end up parked outside a Starbucks drive-thru. This stereotype is so accurate, it hurts. A RevZilla staff writer admitted that if he had $1 for every time someone made a joke about a BMW GS going to Starbucks, his bike loan would be paid off. The UK publication Bennett's Bike Social called the GS the two-wheeled equivalent of a Chelsea tractor, which is British slang for a four-wheel drive SUV that has never seen a dirt road. The typical GS rider has $4,000 of adventure gear, factory aluminum panniers that are completely empty, heated grips, and has read Ewan McGregor's Long Way Round at least 3 times. Many of these bikes never touch dirt. But the ones that do, those riders are some of the most capable and respected people on 2 wheels. The KTM adventure rider is the I wanted to be slightly less basic than the GS guy person. City Bike magazine called KTM fans the oranger-than-thou faithful, and honestly, that sums it up. The Honda Africa Twin owner is the value play. The Africa Twin traces its racing heritage back to the 1986 Paris-Dakar Rally, where Honda's NXR 750 took first and second place. The modern Africa Twin starts at a price that undercuts the BMW GS and the KTM by thousands. The Africa Twin rider sees themselves as the real adventurer. The GS rider sees the Africa Twin rider as the person who could not afford a GS. Up to this point, every tribe cares about going somewhere. The next tribe only cares about looking good when they get there. Cafe racers and custom builds. The Triumph Thruxton, the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650, and the custom-built Honda CB project bike that lives on someone's Instagram page. The original cafe racer was a 1960s working-class British thing. Strip the bike down, add clip-on handlebars, and race between cafes trying to hit 100 miles per hour before the record finished playing on the jukebox. The modern revival is hipster-led, Instagram-driven, and almost entirely about aesthetics. You can spot the cafe racer rider from across the parking lot. Open face helmet, waxed cotton jacket, Red Wing boots, a beard, a beanie, and possibly a film camera dangling from their neck. Motorcycle News basically wrote the obituary for this era when Triumph discontinued the 1,200 cubic centimeters Thruxton in 2024, noting the bike practically sold itself to the checked shirt and beard crowd. The stereotype is that the cafe racer spends more time being photographed than ridden, and that the seating position will destroy your wrists after about 45 minutes. But credit where it's due. The cafe racer crowd, single-handedly, got an entire generation of young people interested in motorcycles who otherwise would have bought a Subaru. The Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 is the budget entry point for people who want the cafe aesthetic without the Triumph price tag. And the custom Honda CB garage build is the purest expression of the whole tribe. One bike, one Instagram account, and a rider who cares deeply about their seat pan upholstery. Now there is one tribe that everyone makes fun of, and that same tribe will absolutely smoke you on a twisty mountain road. Touring bikes, the Honda Goldwing, the BMW K1600, and the Harley Ultra Limited. These are the bikes people call rolling couches, old man machines, and retirement gifts. The Goldwing especially catches heat. The 2026 Goldwing Tour has a 1,833 cubic centimeter flat 6 engine, a 7-speed automatic dual clutch transmission, wireless Apple CarPlay, and over 120 liters of total storage. It costs over $30,000. It is, by every measurable standard, a luxury car on 2 wheels. But here's the detail that everyone missed at the time they made the joke. Goldwing riders can actually corner. Honda made a whole marketing video in 2025 dragging journalists around a closed course track specifically to prove the point. The Goldwing community, especially the Goldwing Road Riders Association couples with matching jackets, will lean more than a sport bike kid on a back road and wave at him while doing it. And quietly sitting next to the Goldwing crowd is the BMW Road Touring Tribe. The R1250RT, the K1600 GTL. These are the German engineering dad riders. They have spreadsheets for their trip planning, they track their fuel economy, and their bikes have more electronic rider modes than most people will ever use. The stereotype is dentist on a road trip. But the reality is that a BMW RT rider crossing the Alps on a Tuesday afternoon is living better than most of us. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. We cover motorcycle culture every single week. Alright, so here is where things get interesting, because the next two tribes are the ones that have actually figured it out. Dual sport and enduro riders. The Kawasaki KLR650, the Suzuki DR650, the KTM 500 EXC. These are the most respected riders in the entire motorcycle community, and they ride the ugliest bikes. The KLR650 has been in continuous production since 1987. The DR650 has been around since 1990. These machines are slow, unsexy, and functionally unchanged for decades. The riders are practical, self-reliant, and do not care even a little bit about what anyone thinks of their motorcycle. The joke is that a KLR looks like it was designed by a committee that had never seen a motorcycle. But the respect is that a KLR rider can fix a broken chain in the woods with zip ties and a bad attitude and still make it home. A popular line from the KLR community sums up the entire dual sport philosophy. If you see it at Starbucks, it is an adventure bike. If you see it on a trail in the middle of nowhere, it is a dual sport. Naked bikes and street fighters sit right next to the dual sport crowd in terms of maturity. The Yamaha MT-09, the Kawasaki Z900, the Triumph Street Triple, and the Ducati Monster. These are sport bike performance with upright ergonomics and no fairings to worry about scratching. The naked bike rider has been around the block. They have owned a sport bike, maybe a cruiser, and decided they want something that is fun without being painful. SF Moto described the MT-09 as a hooligan bike in the nicest way, and that is probably the most accurate one-line description of the entire naked bike culture. And then there is the tribe that rides like every public road is a personal supercross track. Supermoto riders. The Husqvarna 701, the KTM 690 SMCR, and whatever dirt bike some guy in a garage bolted street tires onto last weekend. Supermoto riders are what happens when sport bike riders discover the fun of actually being able to turn. Every supermoto owner rides like they stole the bike from themselves. They wheelie at stop signs, back it in on every corner, and treat speed bumps like jumps. The stereotype is reckless. The reality is that the supermoto crowd has some of the best bike control of any category, because you cannot ride one of these without learning how to slide. They are also the most meme-heavy tribe on the entire internet. If you have ever seen a video of a motorcycle doing a stoppie at a traffic light and the rider looks like he is having the time of his life, that was a supermoto guy. Moving down in displacement but way up in fun, we reach the small bike tribe. The Honda Grom, the Honda Monkey, the Vespa GTS, and the CT125 Hunter Cub. This is where motorcycling gets genuinely self-aware. The Honda Grom rider often owns a bigger bike too. The Grom is the pit bike, the errand runner, the deliberately silly statement. Honda's own marketing talks about Grom squads and the Church of the Rising Grom, which tells you everything about the culture. The Grom rider has stopped caring about being cool. They found something better, which is just having fun without any consequences. The Vespa rider is the urban aesthetic crowd, usually in a city, usually in business casual clothes, and there is a meaningful cultural overlap with the cafe racer tribe. And the CT125 rider, the person on the little Honda trail bike getting 87 miles per gallon, they might be the wisest person at any gas station. They quietly understand what the GS rider is paying $25,000 to pretend to have. And then there is the smallest and most controversial tribe of all, electric motorcycle riders, the Harley-Davidson Livewire, the Zero SRF, and the Energica Ego. The Loud Pipes crowd sees electric motorcycles as a betrayal of everything a motorcycle is supposed to feel like. The early adopter crowd sees them as the inevitable future, and range anxiety sits right in between. Gear Patrol described the honest experience as worrying you could easily run out of charge before reaching a plug. The electric rider is basically the vegan of motorcycling. They might be right, but nobody at the bar wants to hear about it yet. Before we move on to the universal culture wars, there is one rivalry that deserves its own segment: Indian Motorcycle versus Harley-Davidson. This is the civil war in the parking lot. Indian Motorcycle was originally founded in 1901, technically making it older than Harley-Davidson. The brand went through decades of dormancy before Polaris revived it in 2011. And as of early 2026, Indian became an independent company under Carolwood LP. The two brands are now the only major players in the American V-twin cruiser space, and their fans genuinely dislike each other. The cultural shorthand goes like this: the Harley rider is brand loyal, deep in the lifestyle, and probably a member of HOG, the Harley Owners Group. They go to Sturgis on a Harley, and they are proud of it. The Indian rider chose American V-twin power, but specifically did not want to be part of the Harley uniform. Indian Challenger and FTR riders carry contrarian by choice energy. They will happily explain to the Harley guy at the gas station why they went with Indian instead. Top Speed captured the on-the-road dynamic with a joke that rings true for most riders. If a Harley and an Indian are passing each other on the same highway, chances are neither rider will give the other the motorcycle wave. According to forum lore, a different hand gesture might be on display instead. Even on the racetrack, the rivalry runs deep. The King of the Baggers Championship, where full-dress touring bikes race on a closed circuit, is split between the two brands. Indian took the title in 2020 and 2022 with Tyler O'Hara, and again in 2024 with Troy Herfoss. Harley responded with wins in 2021 and 2025 through Kyle Wyman, and in 2023 with Hayden Gillum. Both fan bases will absolutely bring this up in any conversation, unprompted. Now, none of these tribes exist in isolation. There are universal motorcycle culture wars that cut across every single category: the motorcycle wave. That two-finger peace sign pointed down toward the road. Every rider knows it, and who waves at whom is its own social hierarchy. A widely shared satirical breakdown from motorcycle forums lays it out. Harley riders wave at everyone. Sport bike riders traditionally only wave at other sport bikes, and the other rider is usually passed before they can react anyway. Chopper riders on $40,000 custom builds do not wave at all because taking a hand off the bars means crashing, and in the United Kingdom and Australia, riders nod instead of wave because the throttle hand is on the side of oncoming traffic. So even the greeting itself has regional politics. Then there is the gear debate. A TGATT stands for all the gear all the time. Full face helmet, armor jacket, gloves, riding pants, boots. That is one end of the spectrum. On the other end is the squid in basketball shorts and sandals on a brand new leader bike. And somewhere in between is the high visibility vest rider on a BMW GS, who is the most mocked subspecies of ATGATT in the entire community. Both sides accuse the other of giving motorcyclists a bad name, and the argument has been going on since the invention of the leather jacket. And then there is the argument that will never ever be settled: loud pipes save lives. A 2021 study conducted with the Polytechnic University of Bucharest and a detailed Revzilla investigation both reached the same conclusion. Exhaust noise projects backward, but most threats to motorcyclists come from the front. The physics do not support the slogan, but the slogan persists because it was never really about safety. It is about identity. The guy with straight pipes on his road glide is not making a safety argument. He is making a cultural statement, and everybody within a 4-block radius can hear it. There is also the eternal beginner bike debate. Should your first motorcycle be a 300 cubic centimeter starter bike or a 600 cubic centimeter super sport? The Motorcycle Safety Foundation, and basically every experienced rider on Earth lean heavily toward the smaller displacement option. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety data backs them up. Supersports have the highest fatality rate of any motorcycle category, and the average age of a fatal supersport crash is 27. But the squid pipeline keeps flowing because 20-year-olds have never been great at listening to statistics. The real question isn't which motorcycle is the best. It is why every single one of us chose our bike and then built our whole personality around it. The Motorcycle Industry Council found that 30% of motorcycle owners do all their own maintenance, and 60% do as much as they can. Nearly 1 in 5 motorcycle owners is now female, up from 1 in 10 less than a decade ago. The culture is changing, the bikes are changing, the stereotypes are evolving. But one thing stays exactly the same. We are all our motorcycles, and our motorcycles are us. And everyone in the parking lot already knows it. Drop your bike in the comments and tell us which stereotype landed hardest. And be honest, we are all guilty.